Now, hear me if you can. You'd be greatly benefited if you start to move down the path that recognizes that all that happens to you is determined by God that loves you, your Heavenly Father, that you are His child, and He's controlling His school, His classroom, His universe, exactly the way He wished to control it. Nothing is out of hand. It's not that you need to be warring against evil. You see it as evil, and you're meant to. But the reality is, it's a teaching situation. He's preparing you for life eternal in a most magnificent adult world, His adult family in heaven, which I suspect is vast and ever being added to at an astonishing rate. Now that's my view, and you might think, well, that's a very primitive, basic view. And it is, but it's very serviceable, I can tell you. And it's a view that's very acceptable to any mind, not great masters of reasoning like myself alone. As I kid myself, I am. Enough of this humility, hang on. Do you see, I mean, it's now what? It's 7 minutes past 4 in the morning. I've had no trouble with the cramp that I had earlier. And I haven't spent these last couple of hours struggling with, will it come back to me, this pain, this difficulty, what caused it, and so on and so forth. I think I will put my mind to it now of a more distant. But do you see, I put my mind to the presence of God in my way of doing it. I find I'm most blessed by a closeness with Him when I'm recording. So I did. And the hours have just flown by. And as I say, no trouble with cramp. Do you see, at some point, yeah, you can pray against such and such in your life that it be changed by God. And He may do it there and then. He may do it after a while with you petitioning. But you know, it's not the way of trust in someone you love and trust because of their love. Your ideal is, you ask, say, Dad, can I have so-and-so? Then he may say no. But he knows you've asked. And it weighs on his mind. And he thinks, well, it was best that so-and-so, but he wants such and such, and I can understand that. Perhaps I can meet his request in some way. Yeah, okay, son. Well, look, do so-and-so, and then, yeah, well, yeah, I'll let you do it. That's okay. And he says, thanks, Dad. Because you love each other, you see. So allow your dad to do the same. Your heavenly dad. You ask him, you got cramp, say, this is terrible, Father. I don't know what to do with the pain. It's totally distracting me. Please rescue me. And you ask a few times. He knows your asking's for real. I mean, he knew that anyway. But you now know your asking's for real. Despite any philosophical purpose you might have had on other occasions, suddenly you want this, not what God's giving you. So you know you're asking for real. But you don't need to keep on. You know, you're not forcing God. You want to force God, yes, but a better way is somehow, I've asked, and he'll do what's best. I'm going to trust him for it as long as it lasts and delight in it when he stops. This problem I've got. Now, what's the best thing I can do? Can I somehow put my mind to simply enjoying his presence, doing something I know to be helpful and good normally, despite, say, the pain? Now, I don't think I could do that with cramp because the cramp's too demanding, and it's meant to be. It's forcing the body to get up and do something about it and panic a bit and find whatever solution you can find. That's the purpose of pain. It says, no, this is a priority and it's not been solved. Do something about it. And it keeps hammering away at you. Well, if you're of a godly turn of mind, one of the things you do about it pretty quickly is you abandon hope of success after doing the obvious and you cry out to God. Good. Pain's been effective then, isn't it? It's insisted that you come to God on the issue. Wow. So, what I'm saying is that you ask earnestly and you leave it at that. It's true that the unjust judge will be swayed by your constant petition, but your God is not an unjust judge. Simply asking him, he has ears to hear, because you're his child and he loves you. And he's doing what's best in the circumstance. And yes, he will come to your rescue so that you know in your heart he loves and cares for you. But you need to know in your heart that he loves and cares for you. And he may well be using this to rescue you. He's the cause of you being in this dilemma, and he's the answer to the dilemma. He's teaching you. So your trust grows. Your trust grows beyond simply the young child's grasp of kindness, which is that you're a Mr. Hunnings. He can value you even when you are not coming in with the honey, but doing something that's very important to bless you, despite you kicking against it and your unwillingness to accept it. So you become willing because your trust has grown from your experience of his kindness. You know that he's still the same person. He loves and cares for you. So you can go much, much, much further now with God. You're much more grown up. And the relationship is much more mature. Deep, deep, deep. Well, I don't know exactly why this is necessary. But if God does it, we can trust him to run with it, can't we? I mean, we can trust him for us to run with it. So, I find, yes, he has answered my prayer. Thank you, Heavenly Father. The cramp's gone. And I spent several hours in his company. Of course, he gave me a window of opportunity where the cramp was not continuous. I couldn't have done it with the pain full on, with the demands of the cramp. But I used the gaps well. not fearfully of what would potentially return to me more cramp in a few minutes' time, but rather something good in the presence of God. Did my recording, you see? So you start to appreciate that all things work together to good to those that love God, that you are called according to his purpose. If you don't think that's true, you'd better reread John 17. John 17, if you didn't catch that clearly. Yeah. So it's not that we don't have some of the difficulties that the world around us has. We have less. We avoid many, many of the pitfalls and problems that they have to suffer. Thank God that God has such for those that love him. But we don't avoid all the difficulties. And, in that difficulties are relative. We still suffer at times, but we suffer with an understanding and a trust in him that transforms the suffering into something that's worthwhile, has meaning, is a blessing. It's a fantastic universe. We are in the mother. We are being conceived of. Perhaps not, perhaps God conceived us before the world was. For in the eternal we are eternal. Well, we're outside of time. I don't know if you call that the eternal. But it's the same dimensions as God, just that we don't know it. We're children, but he knows. I love you, Heavenly Father. Thank you, Heavenly Father.